For 7 years, I've been a full-time coach. I've coached across health coaching, I've been a diversity leadership coach, and I've been a mental health coach. At one point, I was coaching up to 30 clients a week, 60 clients a month. And then earlier this year, I completely burned out. I hit a wall. And then I figured out how to coach and not be exhausted. Coach all day and not be exhausted when my day was done. So, this video is about 3 ways that I have shifted how I coach my clients so that I can be energized when I'm done as opposed to exhausted after coaching all day. So, as I mentioned, I've been coaching for 7 years, right? My full time coaching role started, my full time coaching journey started in 2018 when I was coaching for a text based digital coaching app. Pretty large company whose name I will not say, but their name rhymes with Zoom. So I'll let you figure that one out. I coached for a few years through a text-based, right? I traveled all while I was coaching. Um, and then I moved over to training coaches. So then I began to coach coaches through improving their coaching skills. So my coaching kind of shifted a bit, but I was still coaching. So I was coaching clients as well as coaching coaches. Then I switched from coaching, I got promoted, and I moved over to the diversity inclusion team where I became a diversity project coordinator, diversity project manager, and eventually a diversity business partner, where I coached leaders throughout the organization and quite a few leaders of color on creating more belonging and inclusivity on their teams. After that, I moved into working for an EAP company where I coached around mental health. I coached employees and leaders around mental health. So, coaching is my jam. Quite honestly, I've coached thousands of clients, right, across a variety of industries. But it was only just recently, earlier this year, when my body basically told me that it was done, that I really began to understand the energetic cost of doing and carrying all of those clients on my own. The thing that I discovered is that clients don't just need us to be a solution. Clients don't just need us to provide answers for them. They actually need to learn how to think for themselves and lead themselves. And that's what I built into my approach. Coach your damn self. Now, here's the thing. 8 years ago, I wrote and self published my book, Coach Your Damn Self. At the time, I had recently left the tutelage of a mentor who I had placed on a pedestal. And so, coaching myself after leaving that mentor is how I began my healing journey, right? I realized that I was placing way too much effort and energy into my mentor and placing not enough value into building my own knowledge and building my own skill set. So that first edition of my book was really all about that, how we as coaches or healers or leaders could begin on our own healing journeys. Well, fast forward 7 years and several full-time jobs and 7 years of coaching full-time. And what I realized is that coaching yourself is not just a tool for us as coaches, it's also a tool for our clients. So one of the things that I realized after coaching up to 30 clients a week is this. One of the first shifts that I had to make in order to help my clients begin coaching themselves is the shift from a problem solver to a thought partner. Here's the thing about coaching. Coaching is like an offshoot of the therapy space. Therapy comes out of healthcare, and healthcare in the Western sense is really all about creating dependence. The going knowledge in healthcare is, well, if you create a dependent, you've got a customer for life. Well, when we are working for ourselves, that's not exactly what we want. We don't want dependence. We actually want to partner. We actually want to create leaders, right? But the thing is, the way most of us have been trained, we don't actually know how to do that. So, one of the first things that I did, one of the first things that I learned, one of the first things that I applied was, how do I become a thought partner with my client as opposed to the person with all of the answers? What that helped them do is really help them come to our sessions having done a piece of the work and then allowing us to bounce ideas, allowing me to really move into the space, the coaching space where I shine, where I can support them in and challenge them in coming up with new thoughts, thinking new thoughts, coming up with new ideas. And quite honestly, that space, it helped me It gave me space to breathe. It gave me the space to show up as my best self because I was no longer trying to solve and carry all of my clients' problems. I was instead supporting them in solving the problems themselves, which by proxy empowered my clients. My clients became problem solvers in their own life, which actually made the coaching a lot more enjoyable. The second thing that I did was I built self coaching into how I practice. Now, at one of the companies that I worked for, they had something called course, and course was just the idea of a coach and a course, right? And that seemed like a great idea at first, but the truth was, as a coach and really as a client, those of us who, especially who are working with women of color clients, building out an entire course library can be tedious. Most of us aren't multi-billion-dollar companies. And so trying to create out a course that most of the clients are not going to watch, recording a bunch of videos that most of the clients are not going to watch can be a waste of time, quite honestly. And so what I discovered is that if we incorporate storytelling and frameworks into how we coach our clients, it actually helps the clients retain the information that they're learning a lot longer, and it allows them to implement what they've learned. Now, there's something special about how you do this, right? You don't want to just give a client a worksheet because that's not going to work. What you actually want to do is create a way to show clients how to think. You want to walk them through the thought process that they need to take. Now, to be fair, right? For most of us, depending on what type of coach we are, most of us have 7 or 8 guiding principles that every single client falls into. Probably no more than 10. If we can organize the guiding principles, the thoughts, the main themes, or the main ideas that encompass our coaching, there's a good chance that we can then begin building out our own library or our own bank of activities and videos based around those themes. Now, examples of things that go along with those themes, like I said, are like storytelling, video lessons, activities, right? Self-guided worksheets that take the clients through a thought process. And what that does is that allows you to replicate yourself. It allows you to create your own partner within your coaching practice, again, empowering your clients. Because remember, as coaches, that's exactly what we want. We want our clients to have the power. We want them to walk away knowing that they have tools in their back pocket, that they can do the damn thing, right? We want our clients to be independent, especially those of us who may be mothers, who may have come into this not necessarily from wanting people to depend on us. We want independent. We want to work with full grown adults. We want to work with clients who know their shit. We want to create confidence within our clients. And this is really how you begin doing that. Now, the third thing, and this is my favorite thing, the third way the third way that I was able to stop carrying my clients is I implemented a variety of what I call energy or energetic hygiene practices, right? And when we think about hygiene, or in particular, energetic hygiene, all we're talking about is practices that I implemented so that I could maintain my energy. So much so that I have energy after coaching all day, right? So some of the things that I did, and these are my actual practices, right? One of the things that I did was I began to start late. Typically, I start my day, well, I wake up somewhere between 5 and 6 maybe a.m. in the morning, but I don't start coaching until 10. I coach between 6 or 7 clients a day, and I make sure that I take a break every third hour. Now, in addition to taking a break every third hour, I'm also walking away from my laptop after every client and washing my hands, doing something that allows me to break up the energy. Now, when earlier this year when I burned out, what I noticed is that I used to sit through 2 or 3 clients. I'd sit and write my notes. I'd sit and work on content. I'll be doing all these things. And what I was not doing was breaking up the energy. So too much sitting, if you did not know, they say sitting is now the new smoking. So, when you are breaking up the energy and you're doing things to get out and keep your body moving throughout the day, you're actually able to reverse the effects of sitting on your body, thereby protecting your energy levels. We don't realize it because it's not necessarily pain so much, but the muscles are getting tighter when we sit for hours on end. Now, one of the other things that I instituted was I began to take binaural beat naps every day. Sometime, usually around 3 o'clock, is where I get my second break of the day. And so every day at 3 o'clock, I began to basically just down however much time I had left. I would go to YouTube, check a 25 or 30-minute binaural beat track, listen to it in my headphones, cover my eyes, put on my eye mask, and take like a 25, 30, sometimes 45-minute nap. Now, binaural beats, what that does is it basically, if you're familiar with the 7 types of rest by Dr. Sandra Dalton Smith, she talks about having taking mental rest, emotional rest, and sensory rest. And that's basically what this does. Binaural beats are basically frequencies that you listen to. And so, because you listen to them in your headphones, they're differing frequencies in your brain. Because they're different frequencies, your brain basically navigates the middle, is the best way that I can think to describe that. And so, your brain is constantly doing this balancing act of what it is hearing between both ears. And so, as a result, if you focus on just this frequency, and it's not noise, I mean, it kind of sounds like a buzz, but it relaxes you. And if you wear your eye mask, right, now you've cut out the sound, right, after listening to clients' problems for a few hours, several hours. You're cutting out light and you're cutting out a couple of your senses, and it allows you to really reset your brain, as opposed to what I used to do, which was play games on my phone or create content or scroll social media. Instead, I'm able to reset everything in the middle of the day. And so it's giving me that extra boost that typically some coffee would do. And then last but not least, probiotics. Probiotics have changed my life, y'all. Like, I am not playing. I recently went to Belize. I realized while I was in Belize that I have a lot of probiotics in my day to day. I usually have Greek yogurt for breakfast with some fruit and something else. All of my meals, I tend to have some type of kimchi with them, right? So lunch, dinner, I have kimchi. I make kombucha and probiotic sodas. So I'm usually having at least a shot of that a day. So I'm always having some type of probiotics. Now, if you don't know your gut health, right, what's happening in your belly, in your tummy, and how much good bacteria is directly related to how much energy you have, how much energy you have throughout the day, and how much energy you've got left over. Now, one thing that I do want to add in is that as coaches, right, we're in the helping profession, we're helping others, there's a constant energetic output, we're constantly putting out energy, we're constantly giving of ourselves. Well, we also want to make sure, if we want to not burn out, right? If we want to shift things in our favor, we want to start taking some energy in. And the way that I do that personally is through creating some type of, or having some type of creative balance. So rehearsing for a play, and I'm beginning to work on a couple of book projects, both a nonfiction and a fiction book. And so here's what happens with that. I'm intentionally refilling my energy through using my brain in a way that is completely different from me coaching or working on content or working on my business. When I intentionally refill through creative outlets, and you can do any type of creative outlet, I have some paint by number, right? The point is that you're using the other part of your brain that isn't about strategizing, and instead, it's giving that part of your brain a little bit of a rest. And when we rest our brains, it's almost like shutting your laptop down for the night. It recharges. So here's the thing. Coaching did not burn me out. It wasn't expressly coaching. I want to make sure that I get that clear. It wasn't just coaching. It was the way that I was coaching. Now, I still coach full time, but I have systems in place. I have hygiene in place. I'm depending more on my Coach Your Damn Self materials so that my clients can feel empowered. And I'm thought partnering with my clients as opposed to creating dependence. out of them. I'm creating boundaries. And not only do my clients feel empowered, but I do too. So if you're a coach who's tired, maybe burned out, but you're still passionate about the work that you're doing, I want to invite you to try building your own Coach Your Damn Self toolkit. DM me if you want some support in doing this, or if you want to take a look at how I structure my own. I would love to support you and thought partner with you. At the end of the day, the work works, y'all, if you work it. Coaching has been a lifesaver for me and my clients. And the truth is, if you're coaching, you deserve to coach from a place of abundance and overflow, not exhaustion.